Okay, hello everyone. This is a video essentially demonstrating how to do an oil change on a Triumph Trophy 2015 SE, the newer model. This is I bought this bike back in June, and it's 2015 with 52,000 miles on it. It's in terrific condition, and I absolutely love the thing to bits. So far I have fitted the Tralex crash bars front and back, which hopefully will help protect the bike in low level falls. As everyone knows, these are quite a top heavy bike and prone to tipping at slow speeds. So I'm hoping these fitted bars can help me out in that regard. I've only dropped it once and I don't want to do it again. So they're fitted. I fitted an SW Motec tank bag. I've fitted the Garmin Zumo SatNav, RAM mount, and various other mounts for GoPros and what have you. So really what I'm trying to do now is just to get as much done prior to the trip for safety reasons. It's not actually due a service, but it was due an MOT, which had passed with flying colours last week. So the first thing to be done on changing the oil on this bike is to start the bike up, let it run up to temperature, leave it a while to settle, and that is the proper way to do it, just to loosen up the oil a bit as well. So we'll start the machine up in the usual fashion. If I can do this with both hands. And we'll just let the bike run up to temperature. Okay, so having run the engine to get it up to temperature, I'm now ready to do the oil change. What I'm using here is Castrol Power One Racing 10W40 which I've seen recommended quite a bit, and apparently the engine takes 4 litres. That's wet, so that's it having filled the oil filter and all the grooves and cavities and so on. So I'll be using this oil. The filter is a KN 204-1. The reason I'm using this filter, again, it seems to be quite popular for this bike, is that when you're putting it back on, it has a nut conveniently in place, so it makes it a bit easier just to fit this filter back on again. So that's what we'll be using for the oil change. In addition to the oil, I'll be using this oil pan, which makes the job a bit cleaner and a bit easier. You'll also need an 8mm hex, something like this, just to crack open the sump drain plug. Technically speaking, you need a crush washer for replacing the sump plug. Again, I'm not going to use that. I've read that it's not absolutely necessary. If I see any leaks appearing at any point over the next few days, then I will replace the sump crush washer. So I'll start off first by loosening the filler plug. Loosening, I'll take it out completely. There we go. And then remove the oil sump plug from the bottom. So I'm not too sure if you can see this. This is underneath the bike from the right hand side. The sump plug is just here, running parallel to the exhaust under the fairing. And I say we crack it open with this 8mm Allen key. There we go. And I'll just place the drain tray underneath to ensure it catches the oil, and then remove the sump plug. There we go. So that's the sump plug, And the crush washer, I'll just leave it aside for the moment. Let that oil start to empty out of the bike. So once that all has drained, the next thing to do is to go to the left side and remove the oil filter. So we're now at the left hand side of the bike. The filter is just above the gear lever selector. You can see it hopefully just here. There we go, hopefully that's a bit better. So that's the oil filter there, just tucked in behind the fairing and above the gear lever. So the next thing to do is remove that oil filter. It's not absolutely necessary to remove the fairing to get the filter out. What I use is this pair of grip pliers, quite wide mouth things, but they get in and actually get round the actual filter. And once you get the first bit off, it's quite easy to turn and remove it after that. So that's what I use. I think you can use various tools and what have you, but it isn't necessary, thankfully, to remove this fairing. So once you get it started, it will turn quite easily. From here, you just unscrew the filter. Of course, you will get a bit of runoff. So that's the filter off, the old used filter. And once it's off, some more oil will drain through the oil filter hole there. So again, just let that drain out, give it a good clean round, and then we will be ready to fit the new filter. So, ready to place the new filter, the new K&N filter with the 16mm nut at the top, which is very convenient. And as always with these oil filters, it's worth running a little bit of oil around the top. But what I'll do first is I'll actually top that up. So what I'm going to do, some people do, some people don't, I'm going to put some oil just into the filter before I place it back on the bike. Some people do it, some people don't. I think it's probably good just to pre-fill it. Not a huge amount, just a little amount in. Give it a bit of a swirl around and use some of the residue just to moisten off the rubber seal. This is a lot easier because I can use this 16mm, give it clean all around the bodywork. Okay, so that's the filter side replaced. Right, so now moving over to the right side of the bike after we've got the oil filter bolted up and all ready. We're ready to top up or fill up the oil in the sump. So we have our 4 litres of 10W40. I'll use a funnel here just to keep things clean, and off we go, slowly refilling. Okay, so that's about 3.5 litres. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it up at this point and run the engine up to temperature, check the sight glass, and then top it up as necessary from that. Just close that over and we'll run the bike again for a while. Okay, so we've now topped up the oil to just a fraction, probably under 4 litres. and run the engine, let it settle, and check the sight glass, which is on the right hand side of the lower fairing. And if you look carefully there, you can see the sight glass 3/4 full and just on the maximum level, so that's where you would check that. There is no dipstick on the Triumph Trophy, so that's where you would check your oil. Quite handy actually. So that's our oil change completed on the Trophy. It took probably, well, in between manipulating the camera and so on, maybe 20 minutes or so. It's not a massive job, but that's it done. I hope that's of use and of help to some people. Thank you.